She screams bloody murder when she sees the brother that she brought back to life standing outside her window. You seen him, girl. You brought him back to life, girl. Why are you screaming in horror at your own creation? Basically, her goal for the movie is to try and bring her dead brother back to life. Then she spends the entirety of the movie after bringing him back to life running from him. That ain't make no. I'm sorry, that did not make any sense to me. But hello, beautiful people. Welcome back to my channel. In this video, I will be reviewing the new horror movie, The Angry Black Girl and Her Monster. Now, I was really anticipating this. The title really sparked my interest. And we don't get very many black horror movies, so I always just jump to see them. I did Bitch Ass last year. Which was one of those so bad it's good kind of movies. I don't think they meant for it to be funny, but it was very comical. Now, with The Angry Black Girl and Her Monster, this is definitely not in the tone of Bitch Ass. This is not in the tone of one of those like intentional B-movie, not taking itself too seriously. This movie definitely has a more serious tone. And if you are not familiar, The Angry Black Girl and Her Monster is a Frankenstein-esque story about a brilliant teenager who feels like death is a disease after her family is marred by tragic death. The death of her mother, the death of her brother, which leads her dad to be on drugs, and she ends up wanting to bring her brother back to life. Now, I will say, I had no idea this was a Shudder movie. I went to rent this on, what did I rent this? Amazon Prime. And I'm just sitting there to watch the movie. All of a sudden, the little Shudder picture of whatever logo pops up, and I hear the little stupid Shudder music, and I was like, oh, hell no. Nah. Like, I am not really the biggest fan of Shudder movies. I want to say The Lair last year was decent and entertaining enough. I think that was a Shudder original if I'm remembering it correctly, but I don't have much luck with those movies. And you know what? This was actually very promising. I think it was overall a decent enough, entertaining enough movie. Now, when the movie opens up, we have the young lady who is the lead. Her name, well, they call her V. Her name is Vicaria. I can't remember. That's why usually I like to do these reviews as soon as I see the movie. I saw this movie last week, but I'm just not getting around to talk about it. So I can't recall her name, but they called her V. And the story opens up where she's sitting on a bench with her mom outside. She's a little girl, and why this little girl nose was dirty, y'all, is beyond me, but I was so disgusted. But anyway, her mom is like studying to be a doctor. She's in med school or something like that, and is tragically the victim of gun violence. She gets shot. She gets killed with her daughter right there. And her older brother ends up turning to the neighborhood kingpin drug dealer Kango, who is played by Denzel Whitaker, who I was sitting here like, baby, what is you doing in this movie? Like, you too talented for this, but I get it. Okay, you probably don't have, you know, very many roles to jump on, because he also played in a shanky horror movie that I saw a few years ago called Follow Me, which, if I remember correctly, because it wasn't very memorable, was like one of those, y'all remember that time when they made all them escape room horror movies? It was one of those, and I want to say it was like a socialite or influencer and their group of friends went to Moscow and ended up in the escape room. Some child, it was terrible, and he too talented for that. But the brother ends up, again, being a victim of gun violence and being shot and killed. But at the top of the movie, when we see all this happening and V is telling us death is the disease that broke my family, we see the body of her brother being dragged away. And there's this ongoing thing throughout the movie, throughout the neighborhood, where there's a body snatcher. There's somebody that's snatching up bodies that took the body of her brother. No one knows who it is. It's V. That storyline for me, though, it's not very logical. Like, I ain't never brought nobody back from the dead, but it wasn't really making a lot of sense. But anyway, we have it's just V and her dad, who her dad is the guy who played the character I could not stand, Tyrese from The Walking Dead, and he played in some other stuff. But this is supposed to be like the hood, a disenfranchised neighborhood, but it looked nice to me. Like, like it literally looks like a nice neighborhood. It looks like a nice apartments. Like, it does not. Okay, so we have her kid brother. Well, sorry, her older brother that was killed. And the thing that's very odd, the bodies are being taken, right? We have this character. Okay, so the lead girl, I've never seen her before. She does play in another horror movie that came out this year that is on my list to watch, which is called A Southern Haunting, which I don't watch no antebellum slave, none of that stuff. But this is supposed to be like post-slave. Like, he ain't a slave no more. He was a slave, now he free. So I think I'm gonna go in and watch it, but I don't be liking to deal with no racist stuff. So I don't know if I'm really able to get through it. It just depends on what they do with the story. But she was actually really good as the lead. Well, I guess I won't say really good, but she was good as the lead. Very pretty young lady, talented, and baby, she got a good scream. The moments when she was screaming like in terror, I was like, yeah, you need to do another horror. She should be like a new little scream queen, because she had a really good scream. But so we end up having it where we have this little girl named Jada. Now, V and Denzel Whitaker, the kid who plays Kango, and the guy who played Tyrese from Walking Dead, that's as far as good acting goes throughout this. I'm sorry, in my personal opinion. The rest of the acting was either just really bad or decent to subpar. This little girl, Jada, first of all, is just a strange character. Second of all, very pretty little girl, really terrible actor. I'm sorry. But the character of Jada is very strange because Jada is calling V mad scientist, body snatcher, but how does she know this information? Like, even at the top when she's calling her mad scientist, because when we get later into the story, Jada has a relationship with the Frankenstein brother that, again, just doesn't make sense. So when she's calling her body snatcher, presumably maybe she got it from the Frankenstein brother, but it just, nothing was really adding up for me. There's a scene at the top where Jada and V are walking through the neighborhood, and Jada tells V, you have ketchup on your glasses, which obviously is blood. But there is an abandoned, like, apartment room area in the neighborhood they stay in that V uses and has locked. And this is her little secret laboratory, right? Nobody goes in there. Nobody knows what's happening. So how does Jada even know to call V a mad scientist? I'm not really sure. So V is trying, basically her goal for the movie is to try and bring her dead brother back to life. Then she spends the entirety of the movie, after bringing him back to life, running from him. That ain't make no, I'm sorry, that did not make any sense to me. But I will say, I wish we took more of a Reanimator approach with this movie, in the sense of, in the Reanimator, we see him start off by bringing a cat back to life. I just felt like it was too big of a jump to start the movie with V bringing her brother back to life. Like, what was the process for her to even figure out how to go about any of this? Where do you start from? Like, it just escalated to bring a human back. So I wish we could have started with her bringing some small animals back or something like that. Now, after she leaves her laboratory, she's walking through with Jada. She goes to school. We have a scene where V is in class, right? And the teacher is talking about cancer or something, and V is excited to, like, answer the question. But when the teacher wants to move on and continue teaching, V goes into her whole cancer isn't a disease, it's a symptom. It's a symptom of death. Death is the disease, and I can cure the disease of death, etc., etc. I thought this was weird because for me, V wasn't like being loud, disrespectful. I mean, we're in class. Don't you want your students to like be sparked and excited about learning information, trading ideas? I didn't understand why the teacher just immediately was trying to shut V down. I don't want to hear about it. And they tell us later that the teacher feels like V is obsessed with death, but still, that's not giving me enough. Like, to me, she was not being disruptive of the class. She's just, to me, was engaged with what was being talked about. But it was obviously, the movie isn't very subtle. It was definitely huge racial undertones to this whole situation. The teacher calls V the wrong name. She pronounces her name wrong. And when V corrects her, the teacher has the nerve to say, I'll just call you Vicky. Like, who does that? That's like my name. Someone saying, well, I can't pronounce Nicole, I'm going to just call you Natasha. Like, how do you just complete Vicky and the girl? Like, that's too complete. How do you just take it upon yourself to just change? It was a well done scene, but I just felt like story wise, it was unnecessary. For me personally, I just felt like it was unnecessary. Now, it was well done though. It was definitely a very uncomfortable scene. Now, as V, I can't remember if her name was Vicaria or Vicaria, so I'm just say V. As V is excited to talk about all of this, the teacher just interrupts her like, do you have a question? Like, dang, I can't talk. Like, I remember being in like specifically my English classes and stuff like that, because I really didn't care about math, science, none of that. But the class I got excited for was like my English and writing classes. And I could get excited, talk about a whole thing, talk about a book that was not the topic, of the class at the moment. But it wasn't like do you have a question? Why don't you shut the fuck up? Like, the teacher would be engaging with me. I just found it very weird. Like, she's not being disruptive. She's excited to talk about something, whether you think she's obsessed with the topic or not. I didn't like it. But the teacher's like, do you have a question? And V just keeps talking. And after the teacher says, well, I'll just call you Vicky, it's easier. Then V says, well, I'll just call you Miss Bitch because that's easier. So the teacher tells her to get out of the class. And she just sit there staring at the lady like, make me get out. So the teacher calls the security guard, who grabs the girl, throws on the ground like she just damn robbed the bank or something. Oh my gosh. So because the girl was excited to talk about because the topic was cancer, she was excited to say cancer is not a disease, it's a symptom, etc., etc. No matter how far-fetched you think it is, it warranted kicking the girl the hell out of class. Y'all, okay. So they end up having a parent-teacher conference with the dad, this teacher that kicked her out, and V. And the teacher, y'all, like I said, the movie ain't subtle, but for me, it was an annoyance. I did not care for this part of the movie, of the story. The dad comes in, him and his daughter sit the hell down. And the first thing the damn dumbass teacher, which if you can't tell by the context of the story is white, the first thing she said to the dad is, where are you from? Your last name sounds European. Y'all, like, where are you from? Bitch, where you from? I just feel like this was very unnecessary. It just was. And I went off on a short tangent in my video about the last voyage of Demeter, about how I do not like when movies feel like the only conflict they can create for the black characters has to be racial, and that is exactly what this movie does. Like, there's no other conflict to be made in class. There's no other conflict to create between V and her teacher other than racial. And that irks me. But they end up having a conference, and the teacher is like, your daughter is obsessed with death. It's all she talks about in my class. Again, I just feel like this is so dumb. Like, of all the things I got in trouble for in school that teachers had to tell my mama, like, the reason my child is in trouble is because she's obsessed with death and likes to talk about it in your class. Like, okay. So the dad walked in and he's listening to this dumb behind teacher. And he ends up telling her, what I need from you is to not call the cops on my daughter whenever you have a petty disagreement. She the child, you the teacher. Why don't you teach? And then he going to teach. It's like, all right, girl, teach. Now that you hear him. Now, V was sitting in there like, yeah, what's up? Talk that shit now. Like, that's how she was sitting in there with her dad. It was pretty funny. But we also have Aisha, which is another character that was, I'll say subpar acting. Not terrible, though. But Aisha is V's cousin. And she's hanging with Aisha. She's getting her hair braided. But Aisha, odd character. I mean, she has a brother and she has a little sister. Her sister is the Jada character I was telling y'all about. And she's telling Jada, go study your alphabet. But the girl look like she 8 years old. Why are you studying your alphabet at 8 years? And y'all, when she said study her alphabet, the little girl was literally studying A, B, C. Why are you studying alphabet at 8 years old? Like, I don't have kids, but ain't that a milestone? She should have been kind of crossed. Like, shouldn't you know your alphabet by the time you're 8 years old? I don't know. The study of alphabet for this big ass girl was very odd to me. But Aisha is very concerned with her siblings' education, yet she's failing biology. I didn't think that made any sense. Like, how you concerned with their education but not yours? Okay, whatever. And then she gives her brother this speech and gives him a book on the autobiography of Malcolm X. And this book is how the movie tells the audience that Aisha is more radical or militant, as coupled with a few speeches that she gives. And she's concerned with their education, but it's lackadaisy when Jada says she finna go play with someone named Chris. And Aisha don't have a clue who the hell this person is that Jada's talking about going to. I thought that was very strange. Like, if my sister, child, little kid is telling me I'm finna play with a Chris and I don't know no child Chris is in the neighborhood, I'm like, who the hell is Chris? Who is you finna go with? But no, she just seemingly didn't care at all. So there was a scene earlier in the movie where this young kid goes, and I feel like it was an odd scene. He like bum rushes up on V when she's at the door of her laboratory, and he got an attitude. He want to see what's in there. It didn't make sense to me. I didn't understand the motivation. Who gives what's in there? But whatever the hell. He ends up getting shot. And when the gunshots go off, V hears all of this, and she ends up looking out the window, going outside. She sees the little boy from earlier laying on the ground. Paramedics are trying to revive him. And for me, this was everything before this, I was kind of like, This moment through the end of the film, though it's spotty in areas, for me was the best part of the film. I feel like this was a really good scene, a very important scene for the character. She's making eye contact, literal eye contact with the little boy as he's dying. He is literally dying right before her eyes. And I feel like it's a very impactful portrait of more death that has surrounded her and changed her, that puts her on this whole mission of death is a disease that I have to cure. And as she's watching the paramedics try to revive the kid, it sparks an idea for her to use electricity on the dead body of her brother because, of course, I don't know if I said it already, but she is that body snatcher in the neighborhood that's been snatching up bodies. She's the one that snatched up her brother's body, which for me don't make no logical sense. That in broad daylight, this girl was able to drag a whole damn body through the whole damn neighborhood to get to her little laboratory. Ain't nobody see her, but whatever the hell, don't ask me the questions. I feel like we got some really good gore in here. Most of the budget for me seems like it went to the practical effects team, which was a smart decision. All of the effects, the gore, the dead body, all of it is really good. Top notch. That's really a high, praise I can give this movie. Now, V ends up using a huge surge of electricity to resurrect her brother. We got a really good scene where she is sewing body parts together and like laughing like a maniac. I thought that was really good. Also along with the effect, well, it was a good scene in general, but the effects of that was really good. Looking at her sewing the body parts and stuff together. The kills were some good visuals and gore. A cop gets like his face smashed. Forrest Whitaker, not Forrest Whitaker. Denzel Whitaker, Kango character, getting his face messed up and his like whole shot of his dead face was really good. But this don't make no sense, y'all. V's brother was shot. That's how he died. So why did she need to steal body parts and sew his body parts together? Made no sense. He has a full intact body. He was just shot in the head. So that whole, her being a body snatcher and sewing bodies together, that did not make no sense at all for me. I mean, it just didn't. There's a point in a movie where she says, I had to get as many bodies as I could. Why? Why did you have to get as many bodies as you could to bring your brother back to life who has a full intact body? Like, what was wrong with his fingers? They sewed on these weird fingers. Like, I don't understand. Also, when it comes to the effects, the brother, when she brings the brother back to life, we get kind of like these elusive shots of him where like he has locks and this kind of obscures his face, but what we do see is really, really good. So she brings Brother Frankenstein back to life. And when he wakes up, and this is what I was saying, it don't make no sense. She brings the brother back to life. He wakes up and she goes to tell him, I'm going to show you what happened to our dad. I'm going to show you who killed you. Like, he done woke up. They all chummy and cool. So she ends up going outside with her Frankenstein brother, right? And they break into this car. They still take these, like a bag of these drugs. And then the drug dealer come up behind her. And he got like an attitude. He's coming to them threatening. Obviously, I mean, they're stealing his drugs. But the Frankenstein brother kills the guy. And all of a sudden, she runs away from her brother that she just brought back to life. And said to him, I'm going to show you who killed you. Okay, show him who killed him for what? Because you just freaked out and ran when he killed one of the drug dealers. That's part of the game under the guy that had him killed. So she suddenly runs off and she's scared of her brother after he kills the drug dealer. She gets home. She screams bloody murder when she sees the brother that she brought back to life standing outside her window. You seen him, girl. You brought him back to life, girl. Why are you screaming in horror at your own creation? And the brother didn't. Yes, the drug dealer got killed viciously, but the brother ain't attacked her. And again, what was your rationale and reasoning for bringing him back from the dead and saying when he first wakes up and comes back to life? She doesn't say, "Oh, let's go be a happy family. Let's go to Disneyland." The first thing she says to him is, "I'm gonna show you who killed you. I'm gonna show you who been destroying our dad." Because the drug dealer that had her brother killed is the same drug dealer that's selling her dad drugs because he's on drugs, not being able to cope with all the death. So again, The whole story going from I gotta bring my brother back to life, I bring my brother back to life, now I'm scared and I gotta run from my brother for the rest of the damn movie. Like, am I just slow or do that not make any sense? And like I said, I could see if he attacked her, he attacked the drug dealer that was being aggressive and likely gonna kill you because you over there stealing his drugs. And again, yes, it was vicious, but the viciousness wasn't directed at you. I don't know, whatever. I'm not gonna spend too much time on that, but it didn't make any sense at all to me. We get a scene of a family dinner that felt kind of out of place to me, and I guess you could say it's one of those moments in a horror movie that like alleviates from the horror, like kind of, you know, you have like a moment of relief, which I'm not a fan of. So for me, this scene felt out of place. And it was also the fact that it was lame. Her and her dad go to the cousin's house and have dinner, and the dad is saying some word that the brother used to say. He used to call the police, and it's very lame and corny, and they're all just laughing like it's the funniest thing in the world, including the little girl Jada, who is a terrible actor. The laugh she did, have y'all ever seen a movie with little kids, right? And you know how something be funny, but the little kids don't laugh until after the adults laugh? Like, do y'all know that laugh? That's the laugh the little girl did. Like, she don't even know what's funny, but everybody else laughing, so she just gonna laugh. It was so terrible. And again, we have a moment where a cop has been killed by her Frankenstein brother. And the dad, we're all sitting here. We get this banging on the door, which the little girl Jada is like, he's here. And nobody seems to ever pay attention to what the damn little girl be saying. Like, we all sitting at the table, but V is the only one sitting here recognizing the little girl saying he's here. But nobody paying attention to this weird ass little girl and all the creepy stuff she keeps saying. Honestly, her character was just extremely confusing because before this family dinner, V goes over to the cousin's house to see them, and Jada tells her that she's seen Chris, she's talked to him. He's apparently in like, there's like a vacant apartment next to them that shares a wall, and it has like a little split in the wall. If the Frankenstein brother is so dangerous and killing everybody, why he ain't kill Jada? And then later on in the movie, Jada is with V, and V asks Jada who taught him to talk, and Jada's like, I did. Again, it just not making any sense to me. But they kept having a little girl act real creepy. There was a moment where Jada is sitting on the sofa, supposed to be at her big ass age, practicing her ABCs, and she's like, it was actually a pretty cool scene though. She's sitting there saying her ABCs, but as she's mouthing A, B, you hear the Frankenstein brother voice as she's doing that. So that was pretty cool, but I just felt like the way they were angling to have this little girl be kind of creepy and connected to Frankenstein. Was the little girl always creepy? Like, why is she now creepy? I don't know. It's just, I didn't like it. It made no sense to me. But anyway, we got this banging at the door during the family dinner. V is creeped out because Jada's saying he's here. But come to find out, it's the cops. And when I tell you, this was the craziest ish. The cops banging on the door, talking about a cop has been killed, open the door. And they like bang and kick and all that would let us in. Why the hell would I open my door if you must get knocking like that? But we got a moment where the mom is like telling the little brother, like, what do you do? What do you say? You never open the door. It's just a whole exchange of like, I tell them that I'm on my way home and my name is blah blah blah, and I don't know. I didn't care for all the racial tones in the movie. That part of the story. I mean, me personally, I feel like we could have got an effective death is the disease. I'm going to cure it. I want to bring my brother back to life. My family has been riddled with death. We could have had all that misunderstood in school. I'm brilliant, but the teacher don't listen to me. We could have had all that without the racial, for me personally. But hey, that could just be my personal thing. I don't watch anything that's a slavery movie, anything from goddamn Jim Crow, nothing where black folk is getting treated terrible and it's racist-ish going on. I don't watch that kind of stuff. So maybe that's why I'm just not feeling this. I mean, I grew up in the South. Like, I don't need to see racist stuff on TV. Like, I just don't. Like, it ain't like I'm disconnected from the ish. Like, I don't need you to show me on the TV. But look, it could just be me because I don't like to see that stuff. I hate for it to be a part of the story. And also because, like I said earlier, I do feel like it's like a cheap conflict for the writer to create. Oh, we got black people. Let's throw in some racial conflict. Like, there's no other conflict we could possibly have outside of that. But anyway, I'm not going to go off on a tangent in this one. Okay, so we end up seeing the cops pull up outside. They see the Frankenstein brother, and the cops are like, "You're the monster who kills cops." How the hell you know he killed the motherfucking cop? But anyway, this was very odd. The Frankenstein brother is like, "I'm going to see my dad." But y'all, okay, I ain't finna get into that yet. He kills the cops. But, okay, let's get into one part of the story is V wants to bring her brother back to life, show him who killed him and who got their dad hooked on drugs. But then she spends the rest of the movie running from him. Then the other part of the story is the Frankenstein brother is like, "I'm going to see my dad." But then when he go see his dad, he kills him. What the hell you went to go see your dad for? Just to kill him? It did not make any sense. So the dad gets home. And I forgot to say, V not here because when the drugs get taken, the guy that her brother attacked didn't end up dead. He ended up in a hospital. So the drug dealers came after her because of the missing drugs. And who is your homeboy that attacked our guy? So the Kango guy makes V cook for him because he like, "Oh, you a chemist," and they call you mad scientist, etc., etc. And Kango got a right hand man, who was a terrible actor. So at this moment, she not home. She over there with Kango them, and the dad comes home. He sees drops of blood like on the floor. He goes towards the bedroom, and when the dad sees his dead son, he is not shocked, horrified. He just like, "Hey, what up, Chris, buddy? They said you was dead. How's it going?" Yo, I thought that was so crazy. Now, the dad is happy to see his dead son, but the Frankenstein son kills the dad. No real rhyme or reason. I was very confused. I didn't understand that. But we're going to get to the reason that the movie tries to give us later. So, one issue I had with the movie is, like I said, I enjoyed it. Now, then we hit this point. That point I said I started enjoying it. Now we're here where the dad gets killed. Now, it's not very well paced after the dad is killed. It feels like our third act climax should be approaching after the dad is killed, but it doesn't. The Kango and the drug dealer storyline, I feel like that wasn't necessary. It was starting to feel very redundant and monotonous. Okay, fine. That's who got her brother killed. But having a storyline where V now has to get involved with them and they keep popping up, especially the sidekick, that was on my nerve. And it really felt like Kango and his sidekick was just fodder for the monster, really. They serve no other real purpose other than to just get the hell damn killed. So V ends up being able to get the drugs that they're missing. She goes over to where Kango is. She's like, "Here's your missing drugs." But as she's returning the drugs to Kango, the sidekick drug dealer guy gets a phone call, and he threatened her earlier, like, "Yo, if my boy, in the hospital die, I'ma take you out." So after that threat, now we're at the scene where he finds out that the boy in the hospital ain't make it. So now he turns on V and wants to kill her, but Kango won't let him. And I was very confused why Kango was wanting to protect V, why he cared about, no, don't kill her, don't touch. Like, he spends the last part of the movie defending V and protecting her. And I didn't understand why. I don't. Like earlier in the movie, he threatens her. He's forcing her to work for him and cook the drugs. And he had his sidekick put a knife to her throat. Not even a knife. What was that thing? Like a machete. I don't know why we switched to now he protecting her. I don't know. Whatever the hell. So he won't let his sidekick guy, right hand man, kill V. And he's trying to tell him like, Kango, like my boy is dead and it's because of her. So the sidekick ends up turning the machete on Kango and like slices his shoulder to attack him, which I thought this ain't make no sense. You cut somebody's shoulder and just think they dead? Like, cause he just leaves to go after V, but whatever the hell. So after Kango gets attacked and his shoulder gets sliced, V runs home and finds her dad dead. And I didn't think this made any sense. V gets home, she finds her dad murdered, and then she spends the next X amount of time just sitting in the hallway, just sitting there. Just sitting there. What are you pondering? What are you doing? Okay, I ran from someone that was trying to kill me and attack his homeboy because he want to kill me. I get home, find my dad dead, and I just sit here? Wasn't somebody trying to kill you, girl? So the drug dealer ends up showing up. The sidekick right-hand man that want to kill V shows up at her house, which I didn't think it made no sense when they had the missing drugs and all this. Why nobody ever came to her house, but whatever the hell. They here now. I don't know why the hell she just sat there like somebody wasn't trying to kill her. And just as he's about to attack V, Kango pops up. Again, I'm wounded. Somebody just sliced into my shoulder with a machete. Why is my focus on protecting V? I still don't get it. But like I said, this girl got a good ass scream, because y'all, she was nailing the screams. Now, something I didn't understand was the right-hand man was trying to tell Kango about the Frankenstein monster. Kango ain't believe him. There were these strange marks on the right-hand man drug dealer, like all on his neck and stuff. Like after that came from Frankenstein monster, V had the marks on her arm. What was those marks? It looked like flesh-eating bacteria. I didn't understand that. Maybe it's something I missed. I was spacing a bit. Like I said, it was kind of spotty. Like I was enjoying moments, but it was kind of spotty. But the Frankenstein monster pops up, Frankenstein brother, and Kango is, not Kango, the Kango sidekick guy is like, I told you, Kango, this him. Ah. Why the hell do you think you could kill the Frankenstein monster? And it was a terrible scene. I forgot to mention when the sidekick of Kango, who is a terrible actor. I'm sorry. Look, my brother, I'm glad you got some work. But when he goes to the hallway at the house to attack V, he like walking through the hallway, supposed to be like menacing and threat. It looked like a joke. Like I was not scared of him. Like it was so terrible. It was really bad. Like, I'm sorry. It was really bad. But I don't know why he thought he could take on a monster. But anyway, he ends up getting killed. And I think this was another moment when V does a great scream. And her and Kango run into a room. And this ain't make no sense. We run into the room, lock the door, try to get safe from the monster. And they end up having this argument. They're hiding and they're like loud whispering, trying to hide in a room, talking about it. No, him. It's a it. It's a him. Him. It. No, him. It. I just was like, yo, what the hell are we doing? So we end up where V gets the bright idea that she could use another surge of electricity to kill the Frankenstein brother. And she has to get her tools. So she needs to go to her little workshop and Kango needs to go to her room to get the tools, right? So while Kango is at the room trying to get the tools, the Frankenstein brother pops up. And when V gets to her little laboratory, Jada is there. Y'all, it's nighttime. What the hell's... I don't know why the hell the little girl was here, but she is telling V that Chris showed her this place. And then the little girl got blood all over her face, but for some reason, V not concerned with where the hell blood come from and why blood is on the little girl's face. She just ran around the laboratory talking about, Jada, you don't need to be here. And Jada is saying all kind of stuff. I showed Chris who his family was. Something happened when he was out there. He came back different. Blood all over her face, saying all this stuff. And again, V just not paying any attention at all. This didn't really make no sense to me though, because they try to say, the little girl tried to say, you know, like Chris went out there and came back different, and they try to say he turned and acted like this because they called him a monster. Who the hell called him a monster? Like, what are y'all talking about? Like, it didn't make no sense. The only time I heard somebody call him a monster was the cop that said, you're the monster killing cops. That was it. Like, what are you talking about? And then the whole he came back different. No, the moment, like 5 minutes after he was brought back to life, V was running and screaming from him in horror. So, like, I don't know. It wasn't making no sense for me. But, you know, maybe I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed. We find out that blood is all over Jada because the Frankenstein brother, Chris, ended up killing his whole family. He killed Daisha, who was pregnant, the cousin, the little brother, the aunt, their mother. So he killed his whole family, including his dad, and he's trying to kill his sister. He gonna kill everybody except the little girl. Why? It ain't that he don't kill kids, because he killed her brother, who was also a child like Jay. Yo, I can't find no rhyme or reason for none of this. I mean, like, I really can't. So we get to the end and V is able to get the surge of electricity and kill him. And Jada is saying, well, V, you could bring our family back, can't you? They're fresh. They were just alive. And that's when V's like, oh, they're fresh. So I can, so she, since they're fresh and her brother wasn't, she's thinking that she'll have more success bringing them back to life. It was very much giving the protagonist ain't learned shit. But I will say, I did think it was a nice ending. Nice in like a disturbing way, kind of like a beautiful but tragic way, because the whole family is dead. Now she brings them all back to life, but I kind of feel like you don't even know what went wrong or what was the problem, why your brother came back and murdered everybody. So just thinking, oh, he wasn't fresh, like that's just the answer. I don't know. But honestly, I would have preferred the ending where everybody was just dead. It would fit the theme that has plagued V. The theme of the whole movie is that her family has been destroyed by death. So if we end it on everybody was dead except her and Jada, that fits. Like, your family was destroyed by death. Death has plagued your family. And now in trying to cure what has plagued your family, you have aided in more of your family being killed. I feel like overall, this was entertaining enough, decent enough. It wasn't terrible. It's definitely worth the watch. Just, you know, don't have no high expectations. Now I will say I wasn't a big fan of the director. It felt awkwardly directed in moments. Some of the dialogue felt a little unnatural and very on the nose. I would have to give the angry black girl and her monster a 4 out of 10. I definitely think it had promise. I think the bones of the story is a good idea. You know, we got Frankenstein in the hood. I'm down with all that. Good lead. So if we could have got a better writer, better caliber of acting talent, not strayed so much and just kind of stayed on point, I think this could have actually been something good. But I enjoyed, for the most part, I enjoyed it. I definitely don't think it's a terrible movie by far. I liked it a lot better than Meg too, so that's that. And if you have not seen, I have officially launched channel memberships. So make sure you check out the link in the description bar, or you can hit the join button on the channel homepage so that you can see the tiers and everything that I am offering for members. We will be doing members only watch party. You will have the chance to jump on screen and give your thoughts on something that we have reviewed for that week. And currently we will be doing a review and discussion on one of my favorite books, Cain and Abel by Jeffrey Archer. But make sure you check out that tab so you can see all of the exclusive content that I will be offering for members. Thank you to the people that have signed up for membership so far. Your membership is definitely very integral in me being able to continue to create content. I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.